Hello and welcome to Soul Infused Monday today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited that you're here, and as always, and I say it every time, it always takes a moment for the live broadcast to actually stream live. So I'm gonna wait a moment, and if you are already on the live stream, if you are on the live stream right now, leave me a comment and let me know if you hear me and if you can see me, okay? Welcome to Soul Infused Monday. I'm gonna wait for a moment for people to jump in. If you are on the replay right now, just bear with me for a minute and use this moment to kind of remove any distractions, get a glass of water, mute your phone, make sure that you're undisturbed, close any other things. You want to focus on one thing at a time, because when we focus on several things at the same time, we're not really present with anything. So use this moment, also use this moment if you're on the replay to leave a comment and say hello. And if you are live here already seeing the live stream, let me know if you hear me and if you can see me. Today's Soul Infused Monday topic is about the challenges, the costs of being highly sensitive, of sensitivity, and also how to handle high sensitivity. So, and I want to make sure that I'm actually live and kicking here and you guys are seeing and hearing me, okay? Facebook has been changing things all the time, so I need to double check everything 5 times here. So, who is watching? Leave me a comment. I know there's always a little bit of a delay, and I appreciate you just hanging in there with me for another minute before we go into the topic. And so before we get started, my invitation, take a nice deep breath. Take a nice deep breath. Hi Tina, so great that you're here live today with us. So I assume you can see and hear me. Take a nice deep breath. Take a nice deep breath. Just take a moment to become present, totally regardless of the show, totally regardless of if you're gonna stay with me for 1 minute or for 30. Take a nice deep breath and relax your body and allow yourself to become present. Today is full moon, by the way, lunar eclipse. Like today is a really intense day, just saying. If you feel a little bit more intense today, a little bit more emotional, if you feel like the roller coaster is more than usual, you are not alone, okay? The stars are with us. Okay, who else is here? Linda is here, hello from New York. Hi Sonia, I can see and hear you today. Gail, fantastic. Hi Ellen from Philadelphia, fantastic, fantastic. Happy that you are here. So, as you might have noticed, and first of all, for those who might not know my show or who don't know me, my name is Sonia Bueno de la Torre. I am an energy healer, I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm a life coach and self-love coach, and I'm here to help women and men all over the world to really peel off the layers in order to feel at peace within themselves and to reconnect to their soul, to live an authentic life. So, the challenge of sensitivity. So, I'm talking about this today because you might know this, you might not. I took a little trip last week. I actually canceled last week's Soul Infused Monday show. That's the first time I've ever canceled a show in 3 years. Hi Lynn, hi Alyssa, yay, you made it. It's the first time I canceled short notice a show in the last 3 years. And I want to tell you why. First of all, I'm very transparent, and I think there's always a good lesson. And I also know these are very intense times for all of us. For some, maybe less than for others, you know, but I know, you know, for you, there might be something going on in your life that's pretty intense. If that is the case for you, raise your hand for a moment. If you feel like you are going through an intense time right now, raise your hand. And leave me a comment below. And know that you're not alone. These are really intense time for a lot of people. And as I said in the beginning, it's also full moon today, and there's a lunar eclipse. Everything that has been underneath the surface is gonna bubble up even stronger, right? So just be aware of it. Be very gentle, be very mindful, be very aware today, and just breathe through the day. Okay, depending on which time zone you are, you might be further ahead of me or you still have more ahead of me. Okay, hi Debbie, hi Pamela, fantastic. Okay, good. Linda, yay. So here's what happened, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's not only because it's important to be transparent, because so often, especially right now, you know, it's so easy to only look at the bright side and or see other people just sharing the good stuff. And I'm always someone that likes to share what's behind the scenes, because otherwise it's easy to go into, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And you know, everybody else has a good time, and that's actually not true. I don't know one person in my kind of like closer environment, in friendship or business, that is not going through a tough time right now. I'm just saying, right? And that's okay. That's okay. And it's normal, and it's good to understand, especially when you're highly sensitive and also when you're very energy aware, that some things are even more challenging. Let me take a sip of water. So what happened last week, I very spontaneously decided to go on a trip. And I felt like I needed to get out for a few days. I had an opportunity to meet some dance teachers from Boston that were here in the Dominican Republic, quite far away from me actually. So it was a little bit of a crazy idea. I rent a car to drive. It was like 6.5 hours to drive. I looked for an Airbnb there. And I felt like I need to get out of here for a few days. Like I've been stuck here since January, basically. Officially since March, but I didn't know between January and March that I would be stuck here. So through the pandemic and all of that. So I had booked an Airbnb. I didn't know exactly where to stay. You know, I didn't know anyone there. And so I just booked an Airbnb. And one thing about me is like I'm extremely sensitive to toxins, inhalants, also foods. Like I'm highly sensitive. And the more, I'm saying this also, if you're someone on the path and you've been working, I keep crying uncontrollably, Pamela's saying, yeah, you're not the only one, I tell you. I've been crying on and off yesterday every 5 minutes. Darlene is saying, yes, intense things going on, yes. So I'm highly sensitive, and the more I've been doing this deeper inner work and energy work for over 23 years now, the more I peel off the layer, the more open my system is, the more clear, the more pure, whatever we want to call it. Doesn't mean there's still plenty of stuff to work on, but the more, and that's a beautiful thing, because it's the more clean, I would call it, and the more myself I am, and the more connected I am. And at the same time, the more sensitive I am, because the more you are open, you are also easily, like, you know, you're just sensitive. And one of the things that I am very sensitive to are any type of inhalants, smells, scents. And so there's nothing that I use actually, nothing smells, no toxins, no, if it's cleaning products or cosmetic products or shampoos, whatever. So I'm super, super, super clean, right? So when I travel, that is sometimes a challenge. And I get to prepare myself for it, and I get to communicate that. Why this is relevant. On Monday, after driving all the way there, and I had communicated to the Airbnb host to please not use any chemicals, to not use any air, like sprays are the worst. They're so toxic, by the way. And obviously through the whole craziness of the pandemic and the COVID, it's like people are using more chemicals than ever. I said many times, the virus will not kill me, but I'm sure something will kill me that I'm using and everywhere I go, because it's more toxic than any virus could actually do anything, right? So, but that's me, right? And obviously, total disclaimer. I'm sharing my experience, and also having worked with hundreds of highly sensitive people over the last 15 years. So, long story short, I arrived at the Airbnb, and they weren't actually finished as I said they were finished, so that was a little bit annoying, but you know, long story short, after a while I was finally in there, and I smelled something weird in the living room. I couldn't really grasp what it is, and I tried to find it, you know, and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And it's like, okay, maybe it's something outside, maybe it's something inside. I didn't think it was a cleaning product. I think it was something that was kind of like something in the room that was affecting me already. But I kind of thought, okay, you know, like I'm here, let's see, and in the bedroom it didn't smell so bad. But here's what happened then. That inhalant, whatever that was really bad for me, and I had a really bad night. I couldn't sleep, and in the morning I couldn't bear being there. And what it does to the system, just for anyone who wants to understand that, because sometimes you feel like you are an emotional wreck and you think something is wrong with you and something is going on, but sometimes it's a toxin that's knocking out your neurotransmitters, that is putting your system offline, so to say, and then it triggers everything else even stronger. I just want you to be aware of that, right? So what it did for me is like I felt terrible. I had a terrible headache. I hadn't slept. In the morning, and this was way early, I knew I had to get out of there. I didn't know where I'm gonna stay, and it was too early to communicate with anybody or anything. So I was kind of back and forth. I sat down to meditate. I had to go outside to meditate because I couldn't bear the smell. And at some point, I had to make a decision. And without having communicated with anyone, without even being able to reach any other Airbnbs, hotels, or whatever, I packed all my stuff and put it back in the car. And I left. Because I knew I could not stay there, no matter what. I knew I couldn't stay there. So I packed my stuff, went into the car, and I didn't know where to go yet. I only had my little phone because my laptop is broken. So it's just like a crazy, crazy day. And I kind of Googled certain things. I Googled and I didn't know the area. I checked what hotels or what, I was very cautious to go into a different Airbnb, obviously. So that was very stressful for me because I was physically not feeling well. By me physically not feeling well, it also really knocked out my neurotransmitters. I was feeling emotional. I was super frustrated. I felt like I lost a day and a night and the money for the Airbnb because I knew they wouldn't refund me anyway. I tried, by the way, but you know, it is what it is. And I didn't know what to go. So my inner child was really freaking out. So I just drove around, and I drove by a Club Med. Club Med, obviously not the cheapest option, but I was thinking, okay, let me just check it out, because I was at that point so stressed out, and I knew I had a show. I still was planning on doing my show, right? That's why I came on Sunday before. I went to Club Med, and money anxiety came up, and I was like, okay, Sonia, this is gonna cost a lot of money, but is it worth it so that you feel good? And you are, you know, like you can rest, you have a beautiful place for the next 2 days. And I said, yes, I'm gonna do that. And I went into that place and I said to them, listen, here's what happened. And I'm super sensitive. I cannot book a room without me going into the room and feel it and smell it. And they said, oh no, we are not using anything, la 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 la. So everything looked really great. I thought like, oh, I would love to stay here. They have, you know, lots of good stuff, beautiful location. So they show me a room, and I go into the room, and it was worse than the other room. I had to go out, like I didn't even stay there for 30 seconds. I was about to cry at that moment. I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna find anything. I'm doomed. I'm gonna sleep in my car. I'm laughing about it now. But let me tell you, that moment, it was not funny at all. So then I left because I couldn't stay there either. Like I just literally couldn't stay there. So I was thinking, okay, any hotel will be the same, but you know, I have to find something. So I went to the next, I just stopped at one of the other hotels. I went in, spoke to this girl, and I explained to her everything again. And she said, okay, yeah, well, all the rooms are actually already made. Long story short, she offered me, it's like, okay, what if we take a room that's not cleaned yet, and you prepare it for me without using any chemicals or without, you know, all of that stuff. And then she said, yeah, we're gonna do that for you, come back in an hour. And at that point, I was just so devastated. Like, you know, it was such a drama. And I think I cried even with her. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait for so long. And I said, okay, let's do this. I left and I didn't know what to do for an hour, so I kind of walked on the beach. It was a gorgeous day after it was raining all day, actually, right? So the sun came out, I was walking on the beach, reminded me a little bit of Turks and Caicos, white sand, beautiful. I called a friend because I was feeling miserable in that moment. I was feeling miserable and I just wanted to share that with someone. And I called one of my best friends, but I was in such a bad state, I couldn't even communicate with her what I needed. And then she said, oh, Sonia, just tap, just do something. So she wanted to fix it for me. That was nice, but that's not what I needed. So I got upset with her too. And then I hang up and I was sitting on the beach on a little log, beautiful view. And I was sitting there and I was so miserable. And I was thinking to myself, I am having a meltdown. I'm having a meltdown. And I had a meltdown, physically, emotionally, and mentally at the same time. I haven't had that in years. And why there's so many reasons why I'm sharing this with you. Number one, it happens to all of us sometimes, right? So don't feel like you should have it all together no matter how much work you've done. These things happen. Especially when you do a lot of work or when you are energy aware, you are also sensitive. You can do something about it, but sometimes these things happen. And also, these are very intense times. And a lot of stuff from the past is bubbling up to resurface, to be healed and transformed. And that's challenging. It's tough sometimes, period. And that's okay. And the one thing that helped me in that moment when I was sitting there, I was just sitting there crying, and I remember a guy passing by, these typical, it's just something that cracks me up when people come and say, hey, how are you? They don't really ask you how you're doing. They're just saying hello, right? No, the beauty didn't overwhelm me. No, Pamela, the beauty was not overwhelming. It was the emotion inside that were overwhelming. And he asked me, hello, how are you? And I said, oh no, how is your day going? How's your day? He says, hey, how's your day? And he passed by. He didn't even expect an answer. And I just, in the moment that I was in, it's like, I'm not having a great day. And so he passed by and when something sinks in and he turns around for a moment, it's like, did you just say you're not having a good day? And it was so fun. It's like, yeah, but never mind. Just, so he left. But I sat down on the beach there and I allowed myself to feel miserable for a moment. And that sounds maybe kind of easy, but that's often not the case, because when we are in pain, emotional, physical, mentally, whatever, it's like we try to get rid of it in some way. We judge it, we try to get rid of it, we fight it, there's always resistance. So one way to handle the challenge of being sensitive with the result of going through something intense is to take a breath and to allow yourself to feel that way. And to allow you to hold space for yourself, because I called a friend to hold space for me, but I wasn't able to communicate the way I usually communicate. And she was caught up in something else. And we spoke about it afterwards and it was beautiful. But in that moment, there was just me and sitting there and surrendering to the fact that I was having a meltdown. I was just having a meltdown. And to be really kind and loving with myself in that moment. And in that moment, because it was already close to, I only had maybe 1 more hour before the live show and I still didn't have my room. And in that moment I decided, I'm not gonna do anything today. I am gonna take care of myself and I'm gonna cancel the show. For me, I just did that for me. And usually I wouldn't do that, right? But it was more important to me that I get my room, that I can settle in, that I can relax. And then I just decided to cancel the show. And then I got into my room. They did a great job. This girl, she was the best. She was sent, from heaven. She made everything great for me. And I actually extended even a day because I really felt like that was so stressful that I needed to relax a little bit more. So the teaching for me in that moment, or the lesson for all of us, there's so many things. First of all, intense times create uncertainty inside. And when we have uncertainty inside, for whatever reason, for whatever triggers, we want to control the environment to feel safe. And the more I was trying to control the environment, the more stressed out I was getting, and the less was happening. At some point I was like, okay, Sonia, just trust and surrender. It's gonna work out, because it always does. And yet it was really tough in that moment. And then also to really take the time for yourself to acknowledge and honor when you feel that way. It was only a moment in time, although I remembered, like that meltdown also reminded me of how I lived back in my days. 20 years ago, or God knows how, like, or even 15 years, whatever time ago, when I started to work on myself, that really miserable feeling that I had when I was there, that was Monday, 1 week ago, reminded me that I lived like that for so long in my life. And only through the continuous inner work and the energy healing and the consistent meditation and releasing all of that, this is just an exception, but it happens still. Does that make sense? And I know you're leaving some comments. I'm going to check that. Let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know if you have a specific question. And I want to recap all of the things, because, I was just mainly sharing. But how to handle the challenge of being sensitive is, number one, to simply understand that you are sensitive. We all are sensitive, by the way. And there's a way to handle that and take care of it in a very powerful way. It just takes time. It's a skill that you get to learn. It's not something that sometimes I work with empaths or highly sensitive people, and it's like, oh yeah, that's how I am. I'm an empath. I take everything in. There's nothing I can do about it. No, that's totally not true. You can do a lot about it, and you're not a victim of it. You just got to understand and learn the skill. But in that moment when it's really, really tough, the first thing you want to do is really to acknowledge and hold space for yourself with love and compassion. Because the fighting and the judging and the resistance and like, oh, what's wrong with me? That makes it just even worse. And you want to check in with your inner child, because your inner child is freaking out. And then also to understand, if this is you, maybe you're not so sensitive. But if you're highly sensitive, you might also be highly sensitive to certain environmental toxins, to things that people spray everywhere, supermarkets, any other markets, hotel rooms, airports, like there is constant toxicity around. And the more sensitive you are, the more you will be affected by it. So you want to be aware of that too, that it's not only just always your emotional state. It might be actually an outside trigger that intensifies what you're going through already anyway. Okay? Okay, let me see your comments and if you have any questions. Let me go back. And while I am here checking this, super anxious, cried yesterday, yes, you're still my best friend. Okay, let me see. Had my meltdown a week ago on Sunday. Had never felt so miserable. I wanted to scream, felt mean. Yeah, Linda, I hear you. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're not alone. Listen, we all can have a meltdown. That's okay. We're just human beings going through a very intense time right now. Oh, Sonia, how awful. I can so relate to the toxic sensitivity. Loved your video of dancing with the teacher. Yes, oh my God. Thank God I had that. Like the good side of it. I'm sharing the challenges because, the good stuff you see on Facebook with the dancing. I got the opportunity to dance with these amazing people. So I had a good time as well, don't get me wrong. However, the starting point was really, really difficult. I felt badly for a few days, but not as bad as the initial downs. Yeah. Yes, thank you for sharing, Linda. My emotions are overwhelming me. I also watched the Darker program and I'm beating myself up because I feel like a bad person. Can you help me with some guidance? These are tough times buying into my thoughts. Yeah, I hope I helped you already by what I shared, Alyssa. with the beating yourself up, yeah, you just got to be aware of it and take a breath and really embrace your inner child. And simply make a choice to love yourself through it. Sometimes we simply have to make a conscious choice. And it doesn't mean, it's like take also the pressure off, Alyssa. There's too much pressure. And I get that because I did that with myself too. It's like take the pressure off. Relax your body, Take your little child in your hands, go for a walk, dance. Let yourself cry, but take the pressure off. And just remind yourself, these are tough times. It will pass. It will pass. You're not alone. The direct question is my sensitivity go to a dog? I don't understand that, Alyssa. If you want to just write that again, I'm not clear on the question, but happy to help you. Do you guys have any questions? Let me know. Place. Oh, dark place. How can I deal with it? I'm feeling like a bad person. Yeah, I think I answered that already. I actually feels very good and human to cry after holding it. Oh, yes. Oh, good point, by the way. Just take a breath. Wherever you are right now on your journey. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you are light, if you're heavy, just take a breath. And remind yourself that when we go through such a meltdown process, cry, if you allow yourself, don't fight and resist it, and you use it and then you meditate through it. By the way, for anyone that was asking, the only way is up again. You got to deal with what's coming up, the darkness, the raw, the emotions. You got to deal with it, and then you want to go up. The only way is up. You will never find the solution in the lower emotions. You want to go up again. You want to keep meditating. If you don't meditate every day right now, that's my biggest advice. Just, you got to do it, period. I love how you mentioned the toxins in our environment. Right now I'm doing a small fasting window because I believe of the chunk that I put into my body. Yeah, I can point this out. Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, it's very real. Like toxins are real, you're affected by it. Love yourself through it. I don't want to think I'm a psychopath. Yeah, then stop thinking that. You are not a psychopath. You're just like a human being like we all are and just going through some stuff. So love yourself through it. Yes, I don't see any more questions. Okay. So this was a little bit of my personal meltdown, and times are still intense and challenging. I don't have all the answers. They're somewhere. You have your answers inside. I have my own answers inside, and I get to sit down. And my advice also for those who are really going through a really intense time, if that's you, even though there might be resistance about this, but that's okay. You just gotta love yourself through the resistance as well. Sit down more often. Today, this morning, was also challenging, and then also knowing the full moon is very intense. I set myself a timer this morning for every hour, and I sat down, meditated every hour. And there's really one very good meditation I have on Insight Timer, the one called Stay Calm and Centered in Difficult Times or something. If you don't have the free meditation app Insight Timer, I would recommend you download it. I have some of my meditations on there. It's totally for free. And there's the one called Stay Calm and Centered During Difficult Times or something like that. Just search for it, search my name. And that is a really, really great meditation right now if you're dealing with anxiety or overwhelm and you want to have some guidance around staying connected and going through the process with a little bit more ease. And sometimes we just have to bite through stuff, period. Don't be too attached to shifting right away. Be attached to holding space, be attached to being real, be attached to make what helps you, obviously. And then you can determine, okay, is it helpful for me right now to judge myself? And if not, what can I do? What would be a little shift? And even if it's something to say, hey, I'm choosing to love myself through this. even that part that is judging myself. Or reminding yourself, hey, this is not just me, I'm not a nutcase, I'm not a psychopath, I'm not a freak. I am simply going through an experience at this moment in time. And it's painful, and you want to embrace your pain as well. There's a lot of people who are really going through painful stuff right now. Just, just be compassionate with yourself, and then you can be compassionate also with other people. Well, thank you for being here with me today. I would say, let me see one more time if there's any last question or comments. And I will search for that meditation. Thank you for all your transparency. Separates you. Thank you so much, Elisa. You're so welcome. You made my week. Oh, that helps me too. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yes. Everybody needs some TLC, right? Including me. So thank you. Thank you. Send me some love. And sharing your knowledge. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. So, before you leave, take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes, take a nice deep breath. Before you leave, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath, and see if you just for a moment, you can simply sit with yourself and you give yourself some love and compassion. And choose for a moment, even if it only lasts for a couple of seconds, just choose to love yourself through whatever you're going through right now. And to also realize and understand is, as quickly as you go down, you can go up. The more we fight it, the more it will take us to go up again. And sometimes it's just more tough than others. And tomorrow, maybe a big curtain reveals and you feel more liberated than ever. Trust the process. Cry when you need to cry. Be upset when you need to be upset. If you have a meltdown, that's okay too. Simply keep meditating. Stay aware and remind yourself that energy, focus, attention. And it's okay if sometimes we kind of like curl into a bubble and we don't want to deal with what's going on. We want to put our head in the sand and scream to the world, leave me alone, I can't handle anymore. That's okay too. And you will come out on the other side, because we always do. So I've been with you guys for over 3 years, live on the Soul Infused Monday Show. And we've been through ups and downs, right, left, and centers. Remind yourself of all the things that you already that you've overcome in your life, okay? So, have a soul-infused Monday. Have a insightful full moon. Keep looking up. Take the pressure off and love yourself through whatever you're going through right now. Much love.